Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Inspire View series. My name is Cherrise Boucher of CherriseBoucher.com, and I am a transformational life mentor. A little bit about this series, I felt really inspired to put it together to encourage people to incorporate what they're passionate about into their lives. Because I think when you really dig in and listen to what you're yearning to do in whatever way, shape, or form, I think your soul thanks you for listening, and you see the results of that in better communication with your family or friends, stress reduction, and just an overall sense of well-being. So in this series, I'm introducing you to a lot of women who are just like you. They've overcome obstacles, they've experienced life in all its aspects, and they've incorporated their passions into their lives. So they're going to share some insights and tips that they have found most useful to them throughout their lives that have helped them to get to where they are now. So I'm so glad that everybody is joining us on this journey to nurture the spark that feeds the fire of your passion. Today, I am excited to introduce you to this beautiful soul. She's an intuitive and teacher who works privately with clients from all over the world to provide compassionate, no-nonsense, spirit-led guidance for people in transition. She also leads intuitive development classes and teaches about topics that empower people to listen to their own inner guidance. She's the creator of the Breathe, Love, Live healing method of identifying and releasing energetic blocks. As the creator and host of the popular radio show she was awarded a Conscious Evolutionaries Co-Creation Award for Media presented by Barbara Marx Hubbard. Today I am super excited to introduce you to Karen Hager. Hi,
Hello.
Karen.
Hi, Cherrise. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. I have had a couple of readings with you in the past, and I listened to your newsletters when you send them out, and those little tidbits of very inspirational messages that you send out in your newsletters that I love.
Wonderful. Thank you. I started putting those together because a lot of my work is reading from the energy of the voice, and I believe in the power of the voice to send energy, convey information. There's healing in the voice. And so when I was trying to put together a newsletter, it wasn't working for me. I didn't feel passionate about it. I didn't care about it. I didn't want to do it, and so I didn't. And a very wise coach said to me, why don't you just record something? You love to talk. Why not just record it? And when I made that shift, Cherrise, it really energized me to do it because I was passionate about it. I wanted to do it. So I switched it up, and that's true. My newsletter is a little audio musing that comes out every couple of weeks. Makes a big difference when you, at least for me, when I connect in the way that feels right to me, makes sense. It's a lot better than trying to just do it the way everybody else does it. I stink at that anyway. So it doesn't work.
And you were probably, when she told you that, you were probably just like, duh, like, why didn't I think of that? It was so obvious.
It's part of why it's so important to have good people in your corner.
Yep.
Because there are times we get can get such tunnel vision that sometimes even when it's obvious, it won't have occurred to me because I'm so focused on this is how we do it, this is the only way to do it. So I love having good people in my corner because they can go, wait a minute, have you ever thought about? And then, yeah, it is. It's like the light bulb going off. So asking for is important because otherwise you can't always see the opportunity or the change or even the challenge, the choices that are around you.
I totally agree. I've had those aha moments too where I was just like, I can't believe I didn't even see that. I wrote it all down and I still didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, there's a readiness sometimes, I think, there's a readiness to see, a readiness to change. And where we get hung up sometimes is when we've done the inner work, we're ready to go, and yet we feel prevented. There's something stopping us from taking that inner passion, that inner fire, that inner knowing. There's something stopping us from putting it out into the world. That's when it is a really good time to have a coach. You can work with somebody like me, have somebody who loves you, shine a loving perspective on it so you can see, oh, wait, I'm all ready to go. My bags are packed. All I need to do is open the door.
Right.
And step forward, but we get stuck right at that place, right on the threshold between idea, conception, and action sometimes.
Yep, I agree. So how about tell us a little bit about your journey that led you to becoming this intuition expert and everything that you do, because it sounds really, I'm always intrigued at how people get to where they are now.
A long, strange journey. I've always been aware that I have strong intuitive abilities ever since I was a little kid. I was also aware very early that that made me weird, and I didn't want to be weird. Once I figured out that what I saw and heard and felt wasn't like what the other people were seeing and hearing and feeling, I really put a lid on my intuition. I really swallowed it. I did everything I could to kind of fight it, bite it back, hold it down, suppress it. And I did a lot of things. I worked as an actor for a long time as a child and as an adult. I worked in publishing. I had, when I was in my 20s, had a spiritual experience that led me to explore the Episcopal Church. So my particular spiritual path is Christianity. I spent many years in seminary. I was preparing for ordination to the priesthood in the Episcopal Church, which is a kind of a big deal and a many-year process that involves a lot of work in parishes, a lot of personal work, a lot of work in committees. Through that, I got a lot of training in counseling, in liturgy, in theology, in understanding how we can be in transition, how something can come into our lives and shake us up so much that nothing is the same after that. So I ran a lot of groups around spiritual awakening, around transitioning. When I got to almost the end of that ordination process, when I was so close to the end, I had a very strong knowing, Cherrise, that this was not my path. I had a very strong knowing that I was being called to something that was broader, something different, but I didn't know what it was, so I did what I always do. When I don't know what to do, I suppress it, swallow it, try to look somewhere else, right? Try to ignore it. That wasn't going to work for me anymore. And what happened was, as I found myself stepping out of that program and not knowing what I was going to do next, I got into a period of time when I had a very strong, serious physical health challenge. And I had 3 surgeries in 13 months. I had a little tiny one and a medium-ish one and a big one, but I had them all so close together there wasn't really time to recover in between. And what I found was that with each one of those procedures, when I came out of it, my intuition, which I thought I had successfully, of course I'd been expressing it all along, but this thing I thought I'd so successfully withheld, suppressed, was stronger than ever. And by the time I got after the 3rd surgery, the really big one, I realized that I was going to have to do something with this, acknowledge this, or else I was probably going to go nuts, right? Mm-hmm. That I could say yes to this, whatever it was, take all the things that I knew about human emotion, about psychology, about the way we work together, individual and in groups, what I knew about relationships, what I knew about fostering a relationship with the divine, and put that with my intuitive ability and do something with that, or I could go back to doing what I was doing, which wasn't working for me, was making me sick. And that would be it, right? I could say yes, or I could choose to keep suppressing. And I was terrible at the suppressing anyway, so so I said yes, and that was the beginning of the work that I do now. I did not embrace this work professionally in the way that I do it now until I was in my early 40s, and I'm just about to be 50. So I spent a lot of time on that journey to where I am now, and I wouldn't take a moment of that back. None of that was a mistake. I wish that I hadn't suppressed my abilities. I wish that I had connected at an earlier age, and yet, if I had, I don't think I would come into this with the life experience and the wisdom and the insight that I have now. So instead of thinking, I wish I'd done this earlier, I wish it was different, it's really important for me to be connecting from the place of what is now. What can I do today? This is my passion. This is what lights me up more than anything I can imagine. How can I live this today exactly as I am? So that's how I kind of got to where I am.
So by doing this today, it sounds like it kind of goes into a daily spiritual practice for you.
Oh, daily spiritual practice is huge because we forget. I think we are all connected to the divine. It's a connection that cannot be broken. There's a spark of the divine in every one of us, whatever you call that. If that's God, if that's light, if that's, it doesn't matter. The divine is bigger than the names. The little silly names we come up for that are like, it's like putting Post-it notes on an elephant. It doesn't, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Our connection to the divine is unbreakable, but we forget. Our lives are full of distractions and things to deal with, practicalities, regrets, hopes, dreams, wishes. All these things pull us away from that connection to Source. That connection with the divine happens only in the present moment, just as intuition's only accessed in the present moment, healing's only accessed in the present moment. We can only pray in the present moment. So daily spiritual practice is essential for giving yourself time, honoring that connection and stopping to listen. Even though there are so many distractions, taking a moment, even if it's 30 seconds a day, to get quiet and connect with the divine. That then becomes the foundation, the launching pad for your day, for your path, is in that daily spiritual practice. So yeah, I'm a nut about daily spiritual practice. So important. And it doesn't matter so much what you do as your practice, it's that it needs to be a daily, intentional connection with the divine. So you can do that as you're walking, as you're swimming, as you're running. You can do it through knitting, as I often do. You can do it through praying, chanting, singing. I don't care. Just connect every day. And that's what daily spiritual practice is.
So for people who are maybe not used to doing that and are just maybe they're just beginning to experience this or get the little yearning to connect more, do you have little tips that you like set a little timer on your phone or sticky notes someplace like remember to connect?
Well, different things work for different people, and part of what happens is we get really locked into it has to be this way. You have to buy the special yoga pants, sit on the special mat. You have to have the special crystal in the bowl that makes the ding sound. You have to, the way that you start is to begin. The way that you start is to inhale. And with that inhalation, you bring your energy back to you exactly where it is in the present moment. On the next exhale, you begin to listen. Look at what is around you. What sounds do you hear? What's in the space with you? What do you see in front of you? On the next inhale, you set the intention that you are opening yourself to divine inspiration, and on the exhalation, you let that intention that you set go deeper and deeper and deeper into your being. And on the third mindful inhale, you imagine that you're opening up at the crown of the head. That's the energetic center, the chakra, through which we can communicate most easily with the divine, although, my goodness, you can have that all over your body. But we'll start at the top of the head. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The third mindful inhale, imagine that you're opening that up. And on the last, on that third exhale, you settle into that quiet space. That's a place to hang suspended, to listen, to be in space. That takes 3 breaths. You might only be able to sustain that listening for 10 seconds, right? Don't try to do the 20 minutes with the thing. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. If that's too long for you, try 1 second of quiet. I tease students that this is like the gateway drug, because you start, your 15 seconds will make you want 20, will make you want 25, will make you want 30. The way you start is to begin. If a Post-it note will remind you, great. If setting a reminder on your phone, great. One of the best times to do this is right when you get up. So when the alarm goes off and you wake up, but before you leap out of bed and go plunging into your day, what a great time for 15 seconds, 30 seconds of quiet. And before you go to bed, right, get in bed, get all covered up and comfy, but before you slide down onto the pillows, before you lie down, take that 15 seconds of quiet. That's going to lead to you wanting to do other things. But start there, and all you need to do it is breathing, and I pretty much guarantee that everyone watching this is breathing right now. So you have all the tools you need. And plus it's free. Plus it's fun.
Right. I hope everybody's breathing who's watching this.
Please keep
Unless, of
breathing.
course, they're on the other side, and if they want to watch it from the other side, they're more than welcome to do that too.
Well, and that's a different kind of connection. You know, the thing I very often say with every breath, and this is true, I live this way, because I screw up a lot, right? I wander off a lot, I get distracted. With every breath, we have the chance to either affirm the choices that we're making or make a new choice. And so as long as you are breathing, as long as there's a next breath coming, you always have more choices. When we drop our bodies, when the physical breathing stops, I believe that even our loved ones in spirit, even those who are not in physical form, also have that kind of freedom to choose. It's just that we aren't expressing it through the breath. So even so, if anyone is watching here from the other side, you still have freedom, still have chances, still have choices. Just maybe access it a different way because you might not so much have the lungs, you know.
Right. Free from pollution. So,
very good.
That's the bonus. So, Karen, how do you create a sacred space in your life? Because I know a lot of people, it's talked about a lot, and people sometimes may not quite get that concept.
Yeah. Sacred space is something I'm passionate about. Sacred space. It's important because our lives are intruded on all the time. Our physical space that we live in, often there are other people in it. If we have children, if we have pets, we've got clutter, right? There's stuff intruding in our physical space. Energetically, stuff intrudes in our energetic space. It's our worries, it's our projections, it's our fear, it's our hope, it's energy we receive from other people and carry around and we don't know what to do with. And so creating sacred space, both on the interior and then out in the world, is important because it reminds us that we can be quiet, that we are free, that we do have a choice. So when we create sacred space, we talked about this a little just now, about creating that interior sacred space through intentional loving connection to the divine, through on purpose having a daily spiritual practice that you do, and when you miss a day, you go, oh, that happened, and then you go back to it again. Creating sacred space in our external world gives us a visual reminder of what we think is important. So if my prayer corner in the bedroom is now covered with dirty clothes and it's stuff I haven't folded and it's that thing that came in the mail and I don't know what to do with it and I just tossed it all in that corner, my prayer corner now reflects my inner and my outer state of being. Mm-hmm. It's cluttered, it's chaotic, it's been invaded, right? And all I need to do to make that better, again, I don't have to spend a cent, but I can clean out that space and say, this corner, I bless this space. I bless this room. I bless the walls that hold it. I bless the floor. I bless this cushion I put down so that I can sit down and have some prayer time. This is important to me that I clear it up, that I clean it out. You can also, there are techniques for energetically creating sacred space. I've got some of those available that I'd love to make available to people watching this, because when you marry your intention, I intend to create sacred space, with action, words that I say, things that I do, it amplifies the change that you are making. So you can make sacred space even if you live in a tiny studio apartment and there's not a spare inch of space on the floor. You can make sacred space. The way we make something sacred is by declaring it is so and then treating it that way, honoring the sacredness of the space that we set up. That's true inside and outside.
That's lovely. Yeah. You can get these little shelves that make your books look like they're in Harry Potter. And you can put a book on there to make a flat space and make that your sacred space if you're in an itty-bitty little spot.
Oh, absolutely. What you put there, how you arrange it, the pleasing colors, the what that means to you, to see knowledge floating, right? To see learning weightless above you, right? Everything has meaning. And so it's about, what does that mean to you? If those, I love those shelves, if they make you smile, when you look at them, you've created a beautiful smile on the outside and on the inside. That's sacred space right there.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And then I've got my crystals everywhere too, so.
Sure. Well, crystals are a wonderful way. You can have a little bowl of salt, having water, having a flower, having a candle. You can have a photograph of someone you love, or an image, an icon, a prayer card of,
Mhm.
a deity, or like a personification of what you wish to bring out in yourself. So Ganesh is a great one for that, for
Mm.
removing obstacles. That's a wonderful visual reminder when you look at that, oh, that's right, I am stronger than my circumstances. I can move through, right? So all those things can help you create sacred space. None of those are magic, because the magic is your intention. The magic is you. The
Right.
magic is your freedom. The magic is your connection. But all of these are wonderful visual cues to you that says, oh, that's right, this is I've got my crystal set up here, this is the sacred space. And I love myself enough, I honor myself enough that I will allow myself now to go and be in that space, to experience that space. What you'll find if you create sacred space, and seriously, it doesn't matter if it's a floating bookshelf or a huge, enormous prayer room that you set up for. It doesn't matter. You can be in the front seat of your car while you drive to work. Can be your sacred space. Seriously, it does not matter where. But when you intentionally use sacred space, when you infuse that with your energy, what you'll find is that your perception of that space changes, and it will feel different to you when you're in the sacred space and when you're outside of the sacred space. That does two things. Not only does it make you want to be in the sacred space more, which is good, we like that, more prayer, more connection, more deeper knowledge of yourself, more understanding of our connection with the divine. It also may encourage you to make sacred some of the other places in your life that are getting you down. You may find yourself then able to bless relationships that are in trouble. You may find yourself blessing, sanctifying, making sacred the questions that you ask about your life path. You may find yourself a little more likely to bless your journey than to curse it. Why aren't you like I thought you would be? Why hasn't it turned out right? You may find yourself able to have the ease to bless that journey so that you really can change it. All these things begin to change when you are intentional about maintaining sacred space, inner and outer.
Mm. That's beautiful. That makes total sense too. Um, and even if somebody could create, like I like the in the car,
Oh,
because you spend a lot of time in there, most of us, I
well,
do. I drive
and
my
there's
kids to school, I pick them up, and to have that little moment of when you're in there and to be mindful and maybe set intentions for the day, that'll,
and to remember that you are, because you are present in that space, it is not just your responsibility but your joy to clear that space. So you may set it up energetically for the kids to be there. Maybe we have less fighting. Not that my children would ever fight, but I'm sure that your others' children might fight. My kids, angelic, perfect all the time. But set that energy so that there maybe is less fighting, maybe less bickering, maybe things don't get lost, and then there's a scramble when we get to school and we have to get out of the car and we can't, oh no, where's the thing, right? And you can also clear that space after the kids leave the car and you're driving back. Bless the children, bless this day, bless this space, this car that carries me safely where I need to go. Bless all the parts in it that are working to keep them working smoothly, right? Bless and bless and bless and bless. It costs you nothing, and it changes everything.
mm.
So important. So yes, of course, your car, your swimming pool, your washing machine, right? Box of dust cloths, whatever it is, bless it, bless it, bless it. That's not magic. It doesn't make them magic dust cloths. It just allows you to see them as they are and see you as you are. Powerful, divine, limitless, even with the tools that you have to go through your day, the dust cloth, the car, the whatever it is.
hmm Yeah, it's very mindful. It's being mindful, and I've read and heard people talk about too, being in the present moment, really paying attention to the textures or the sounds or the scents or whatever you're doing right then in that moment, and that really draws you in to now.
Well, and here's the next step from that. is allowing yourself to be present even when it's lousy. So if I'm having a disagreement with my partner, can I allow myself to be present in the argument, fully present, even though I would rather shift the blame, I'd rather run away, I'd rather go eat a whole pint of ice cream without stopping? Can I let myself be where I am, even if it's not good? This is where so much of my work, Cherrise, is helping people who are in transition, who are in a place where things aren't good and they want it to be better. And until we can be where we are, fully, mindfully present when it stinks. It's one thing to be present, by the lake with the perfect sounds, and you've got your right, and you're
yeah, that's easy.
That's great. And that's a great place to start, right? But if you want to make change in your life, it's important to be able to be present with what isn't working, what isn't right, what feels lousy. The strength to do that comes from daily spiritual practice, comes from your growing confidence in yourself as a being of intention and free will, but we have to be able to be in that painful place before we can move on. And that's a kind of sacred space as well. How do I hold my energy? How do I hold myself, trust myself when I lost my job? When I'm having a horrible fight with my partner, when my children will not stop fighting in the car? How can I be present with that? When we do that, it reminds us of all the power, all the possibility that we have in front of us. When we don't do that, when we allow ourselves to be distracted, when we refuse to be mindful, be present in those not great times, what we find is that those not great times persist, because the universe gives us more and more and more until that's abundance. Unfortunately, that's the flip side of abundance. We get more and more and more of everything, and until we are present to acknowledge, honor, bless, we're going to keep getting more and more of what we don't want. And the only way to switch it is to be present with what truly is. See it clearly.
That makes sense. So you're talking, you talked a little bit about sharing with clients, students that you work with, and I can tell that you're passionate about teaching this. So,
just a bit.
That saying, we teach what we most need to learn, because I think about this often, like, what do I want to learn? So what can I teach others? What have you learned from students and clients that you connect with?
Oh, the unbelievable goodness of the divine, the resilience, versatility, strength, humor, passion we have for our lives. I get to talk with a lot of people, and I talk with people all over the world, and I've heard people and over the years now as I've been doing this, people in the highest point of joy and the lowest points of despair. I have learned from them, I think they're my greatest teachers. I've learned not to take myself so seriously. I've learned that no matter what's happening to me now, I can shift and change that outcome and make something else happen later. I have learned that we are never really defeated until we say we are defeated, right?
Yeah.
It's the way we give up is we go, I give up, then you've given up, then that's it. But we never are really done. We just keep going through all the people that I connect. I do a lot of private intuitive sessions with people in transition. That's around everything: relationship, career, soul path, everything. And I also connect, when I'm connecting with students, whether I'm teaching Breathe, Love, Live or I'm teaching intuitive development, they also help me see that it never ends. We never get to the limits. That as long as we stay curious, as long as we stay engaged, as long as we follow our passion, it never ends. That's the good side of abundance that I was talking about.
Right.
That there's always, always more. You never get to a place where you go, that's it, learned all there was to learn, absolutely perfect, completely. That's that. If you meet a teacher who says they're perfect, if you meet a teacher who says they know everything, if you meet a teacher who says, I made $100 million in 4 minutes without ever, please no. Please understand that until we are all in connection with the ways in which we are imperfect. We can't get better. And my students help keep me honest that way. When I've had, and I'm a real person with a real life, so I continue to have challenges in my life, just like everybody watching has challenges in their life. They walk with me through those challenges. I walk with them through their challenges, and they remind me deeply that we are not alone, truly not alone, not ever. And our willingness to be vulnerable to the divine, our willingness to be open to our intuition, our willingness to follow through on our desire to change helps us be the fullest expression of that divine that we can achieve in these lives that we're living right now. I think that's what I've learned.
Wow, that's a lot. You've learned a lot.
And I'm still learning. I mean, that's the thing. I'm still learning, and I don't ever, ever, ever want to stop.
Yeah. And I think what's nice is to see, because so many people think, oh, I'm the only one who's experiencing this or something, but the more you talk to people, the more you find we all have a lot of common threads, and no matter where in the world people are, there are common threads in people's lives, and we all have similar feelings about things and similar experiences and similar desires. And I think that well, the age of the internet has certainly brought it closer together, so that people don't have to feel like they're alone in a struggle, or that they're stuck in something and they can't get out because there's so many other people who have experienced the same things.
Yeah.
And even in sharing abundance, and sharing, the more you share, the more you see in your own life.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's enormously true. Part of what, at least in my experience, part of what daily spiritual practice does, part of what creating and holding that sacred space does, it opens you to a greater awareness of abundance. Abundance is always there. It's always on, right? It's not like, oh no, my abundance stopped. No, it's always there. We don't look, right? We turn away, but it's really there. When we hold that sacred space, it allows us to not only give more, because we know there will always be more. We can be generous without having to fight our own stinginess, our own rigidity, but it also allows us to receive more. So when we begin to connect in this way, when we intentionally create sacred space in our lives, when we bless our relationships, we bless our circumstances, even if they're lousy, what happens is that abundance, our awareness of that abundance shifts, and we receive more and more and more and more healing. Yes, financial support. Yes, new love, new opportunities, new paths, new awareness. Just like we were talking about asking for help and have the light bulb go on. Oh, why didn't I think of that before? That kind of inspiration comes from holding this sort of sacred space. Sometimes it helps to have somebody hold it with you. I have people who help me hold mine. When I don't know what to do next, when I get all rigid and get so far up my own rear end that I can't see what's going on anymore, I have people who go, hey, lady, come on, right, get with it. We all need that support. Internet's wonderful for that. There's a hunger for community. There's a hunger for connection. And I'm blessed in my work to, this morning I talked with someone in Copenhagen. I have people in Kenya and Australia and France and the United States and Canada, all over the world, and it's the same hearts, same connection, different maybe cultural ways of looking. So if I'm in China and you're in Ukraine, we may have different ways of looking at these issues. Where do I fit in? How do I belong? What do I do next? Where is love? Why aren't I feeling it? Where's my abundance? Why can't I touch it? And yet we all have the same questions. And the internet, and also I believe radio, is a really powerful way to do that too. Brings us together in a way maybe we couldn't have thought of before.
Yeah, and you think of radio, I just got like this little snapshot of, back before TV, when radio was what connected people, so that they could experience, and listen to what was going on another side of the world, even if it was during a war or something. It really was a connection, and it still has that power.
Yeah, it does, and like all tools, the tool itself is neither good nor bad. It's what you do with it, how you use it. You could take that lovely crystal and use it to enhance your sacred space, or you could use it as a rock to hit somebody over the head with. It's just a thing. It's just a tool. Radio is the tool like that as well.
Yeah.
And in the example that you're giving, it can be used to bring people together. It can also be used to sow the seeds of hate and misinformation. It can be used to divide as well as to unite. And so that's, again, we're back to intention. Yeah. That's why whatever tools you use in your life, whether that is the food that you eat, or it is the television programs you watch, or it is the sites you visit on the internet, or the friends you choose to hang out with, you always have that power, that freedom to use those for good. What is my intention? What am I trying to do here? It's no fair blaming the radio for giving you propaganda. It's no fair blaming the television for making you more violent. It's how we use the tools and not the tools themselves. That's part of why when I say like the magic floating bookshelves aren't magic, it's what I do with those that makes the difference.
Right. I love how this all just flows together. Everything you're saying just feels like a flow, you know. Every piece fits into another piece, and then the picture gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you see it in a much broader sense, I think.
It's part of what, for me, when I got to that place in my life when I said yes. Yes, I will allow my intuition. I will work with my intuition. I will develop my intuition. Yes, I will. To me, I would say, yes, God, yes, I'm here. I understand. I have the call. Yes, I will use this work now. Part of the way that I'm able to use this gift is that when I connect intuitively, as I am now, everything goes really fast for me when I'm doing this, but there's a flow. There's an awareness that I've stepped aside a little bit to try to let divine love, divine wisdom speak through me, which means that what I say is a lot more than what I could say, me as the person who, ate a whole basket of Easter candy and is wondering when stuff to be out of the dryer. There's a way in which when we connect intuitively, we have to get out of our own way. And one of the things that I have learned to do rather well is get out of the way to let greater information come through me. Doesn't make me magic, far from it. Makes me a person who knows to get out of the way. So if I can use that insight, if I can use that ability to help other people get out of their own ways, then that's what I'm here to do. That's it right there. That's the heart. We all have that connection. And we sometimes just need a little help, a little understanding, a little wisdom, sometimes a tiny push to get out of our own way so that the path is clearer. And that's what I try to do in every single thing that I undertake. That's why I'm here.
That's great. So you said, when you finally said yes to doing what you're doing now, that was rather a leap of faith, I'm sure, to jump in and say, okay, fine, I'm doing this, you don't have to knock me over the head anymore or something.
Well, and it was a leap of faith. I thought I was probably nuts because I didn't really know what I was saying yes to. But I had just gotten to a place in my life where it was the only right way forward. We always have free will. I could have said no, but it was the only right way forward. And so when I said yes, luckily for me, and I think this is true of all our yeses, it always leads to more yeses and more yeses and more yeses. And so it is safe to say yes, understanding that if we say yes to something and it turns out to be the biggest dumb mistake we ever made, it's better to say yes and then go, oh, that happened. Oh, need to make a change. Oh, biggest dumb mistake I ever made, because there are no real mistakes, right? The mistake is not saying yes. The mistake is saying, no, I don't think so. No, I'll just stay here. I'll be very quiet. I won't move. I'll just stay. And then we wonder why we're stuck in our old patterns, right? So say yes to something new and follow it where it leads you, trusting in your own discernment, your way of being connected with the divine, trusting that if you say yes and it should have been a no, that the no will reveal itself to you, and that you will then have a new set of choices, a new set of chances to move in a different direction. So yeah, I thought, and my goodness, there are, not only did people think I was crazy at the time, but there are still plenty of people out there who are wondering what in the heck I'm doing, even all these years later and with everything that's changed. And yet, I can't imagine for myself now what things would have been like if I'd taken the other path. I see a lot of branchings in my path that I'm in now because that one yes isn't the only yes. But I can't imagine the no at this point. So, yeah.
That's very encouraging, I think, for people.
Well, we have more freedom than we think, more choice than we think, always, always, always. And if there's anybody watching who's looking at something and go, well, this is it, I don't have a choice about this, I can't, I would really guide you strongly to be with that place then of not having a choice. And I guarantee you that as you sit with it, you're going to see a way around it. You're going to see a different way of responding to that. Whatever this is, I don't have a choice, this is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because it could be just a shift in perception. They're choosing to see it like this, but choose to see it a different way. Not necessarily a physical action, but just a shift in their own way of looking at things.
It is, and there's that image of, when you run down a blind alley, you run down, it gets narrower and narrower, and finally you hit the wall and there's nothing there, and you look in front of you and it's nothing, it's just the wall, and you can bang your head against the wall and you can feel the bricks to see if there's a door, but sometimes there's a wall. So what you do then is you can stand with your head against the wall and keep hitting yourself in the head, or you could turn around and walk out of the alley. Right? You got yourself into that space. So turn around and move your way out. Shift your perception. If your perception is there is nothing ahead of me but that wall, what are some ways that you can shift that so that you see more?
Mm-hmm.
And you, again, it's as simple as a breath. Take a breath and shift. As easy as that. And if that doesn't work, take another breath and another and another and another so that you can walk yourself back out of that alley.
Yeah, I love that because I think a lot of people just, I see it around with people around me, and they have to be open to listening, to taking the moment to look within and be in the present and think, so sometimes that's a little opportunity to learn something new, to gently remind people you have these choices. I'm not very gentle in reminding people of things, I think. I'm sort of a hard ass, I think, but I probably need to pay attention to my own choices and how I communicate things sometimes.
But everybody has their own. And I think when you're choosing people to have in your corner, people to have on your team, you want to have people with different ways of being. My way is gentle, and I use humor, and I use personal stories, and I try to come in gently that way. There are some times when the gentleness needs to get a little bit stronger. Sometimes you need a hard ass in your corner.
Yeah.
There are times when gentle encouragement or slowly revealing insight, and even in my work with clients, what I always ask is that I be given the tools, the information, the method of approach that will best open that person's heart to whatever it is that they need to hear that day, whatever it is, no matter why we're connected. And so while I don't know if I'm I think people who've worked with me would laugh about me being a hard ass. But it is true that sometimes just one approach doesn't work. You have to have people with all different approaches, and you have to, for ourselves, when we're working with ourselves, doing the inner work, there are times when it's time for gentleness, and there are times when we need to be a little more firm. Sometimes I see people get stuck, Cherrise, because they adopt an internal attitude of always yelling at each other. Always yelling at themselves, always beating themselves up, always, so that whatever happens, whatever change they make, that internal voice goes, well, you really did it that time, and plus you look fat in those pants, and nobody's ever going to believe you, and you're always going to be a failure, and all that stuff. And sometimes gentleness is called for, right? Quiet is called for, discernment is called for. So I think we carry those different voices, all of us, in different ways.
Mm-hmm. You always seem so calm and calm. Whenever I listen to your little newsletter musings, and even in this conversation, you seem so calm. You know?
And the truth is right now I feel calm because I'm connected intuitively, I'm engaged, I'm loving what I'm doing, we're talking about the things that mean the most to me. People who have worked with me, known me now over the years, know that I'm a huge anxiety monkey. So I worry about stuff, I get all rigid and freaked out and strut around and shriek like a crazy person. But what's different about that now is that I don't make that my whole way of being. When I catch myself doing that, every 20 minutes or so, when I catch myself doing that, I know I have made a commitment that I will take a breath and gentle that down, right? I'm a mom to two fabulous, wonderful boys, and they've seen me go to my wacky place regularly.
Yeah.
Go to my crazy place, right? You kids stop fighting in the car. Don't make me pull this. Do I go there. But the difference is that I know I have the tools to turn that around. Why am I acting that way? What is it that triggered that rigidity in me? How do I want to change that? How can I change my response to whatever it is that's made me nuts? And so even though I am not calm all the time, but I do have the tools and use the tools to bring myself back to center every time I move off center. And that may be part of what you're seeing, is that I have the resources and I actively use them. Imperfectly, because I'm a person and that's how it goes. We're not all, right? If you meet someone who says they're calm all the time, I don't know, I'd be a little worried, right? They're either a robot or, I don't know.
Chemically induced calm.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And even chemically induced, that doesn't hold down. We could do a whole another hour and a half about
Yeah.
but it just holds down that inner turmoil. It doesn't solve anything. It just kind of puts a nice cozy blanket on it. And there's trouble that way too, because it keeps us from being where we are in the moment. So no, I'm glad that I come across as calm. There's a real calm that I feel in being aligned on my path. And the work means so much to me. I can't begin to tell you. My love for the people who I connect with is wonderful. But I'm a big jerk in my life. I just, like everybody else is, I just have made a commitment. Part of my sacred space is holding that ability to come back to center when I get all nutsy.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good tool to have.
It is, and we've all got it. You're holding it now, right? It's not like you have to go buy something or go. You're holding the tool.
Right.
Get quiet and connect with that because you've already got it. You don't have to mail away from it or turn around 3 times and say the magic word. It's in your heart. It's right there.
Yeah.
You can connect with it now, right now.
Yeah, that's a nice reminder for people that it's not outside of yourself. It's within you all the time.
Yeah. And working with somebody like me, working with somebody like you can help you transform, help you make change, but if there isn't that agreement, there can be no healing. There must be that willingness, that understanding. I am ready. I am listening now. I am open. Guide me, teach me, show me. And that goes for you asking questions of yourself as much as it does as if I connect with a coach, I connect with an intuitive, I connect with a spiritual teacher, I connect with whatever it is. There has to be that willingness. You are the only one who controls your willingness. You're the only person who can make that shift. It has to come from inside. Nobody from outside can do it for you. I'll hold the flashlight while you look, right? And I'll go, hey, did you look over there in that corner? Oh, look at that over there. But I can't make you do the work. What people sometimes don't understand is that the work is joy. The work is freedom. The work is love. The work is abundance. The work is peace. And so it's worth that poking around that you do because of the reward is incalculable. You can't measure it.
Right. Isn't that lovely? just feel like sitting with that for a while. I'll probably listen to this again right after I stop.
And I might too, because I won't, the way it works for me, I won't remember what I said.
All right.
So, and so I might listen to it too.
Yeah. Well, what you have as a gift for everybody who's watching this series is perfect, because it's exactly about everything that you've talked about in our time together today. So do you want to tell people what that is?
If you head over to KarenHager.com, that's where there's a big picture of me, and there's classes and events, and you can connect for a session, and I'd love to see you, so go poke around. If you go to KarenHager.com/sacred space, I'm going to ask you for your name and your email address, and then you will immediately receive an MP3, an audio meditation of some of the prayers that I use to clear and create sacred space. We've got to clear energy before we can sanctify a space. That's important. You want to discharge anything that's maybe not so great before you create that nice sacred space. I want to share that audio with you as a gift. The biggest gift I can give you, though, and please come get the audio because I want you to have it, but the biggest gift that I can give you is that awareness that it is through your intention that the space is made sacred, through your intention that your life is made sacred, that your path is blessed. That's through you and the yeses that you say. That's the real gift. So KarenHager.com/sacred space. Give me your first name and your email address, and I'd love to get that audio to you so you can start using that in your car or in your bedroom or wherever it is that you want to use it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got to go get that myself. And also, it will be on my website right under Karen's little bio, and where you'll find the video and the MP3 of this interview. You'll have the link to that there too at CherriseBoucher.com in /the Passion Base. So if you've already signed up for this video series, you have access to that, and you can get everybody's goodies in there, including Karen's awesome and generous gift.
Thank you.
I am so excited. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you today in this interview. Even it feels like it was months and months and months ago, that we set this up, but the time flew by, and here it is today,
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been great fun, and I really appreciate you asking me to share some of this. This is important stuff. Time is speeding up. Our choices are more important now than they have ever been before. And so I appreciate the chance to try to share this information and to give the gift. So thank you, Cherrise.
Yes, thank you, Karen.